Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the IaC Podcast. I am Ohad Maislish, and today we have an amazing guest coming out of Cisco DevNet, developers, Cisco. Yeah, it's happening. So, hi, Adrian Iliesiu. How are you?
Hi, Ohad. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing great. Thank you. How are you?
Doing very well. Thank you so much. Let's jump right into it. Tell us what Cisco DevNet is and how Cisco is helping developers worldwide.
All right. If you don't know by now, I've been with the team, by the way. I'm making 10 years today. Okay. December
Oh, wow.
17th.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So 10 years today that I've been with the team. If you haven't heard of DevNet by now, either we did a terrible job or you haven't listened.
Sure.
Because yes, the team has been out there working with developers. Many things have happened, of course, in those 10 years. But just to give you a quick intro, developer.cisco.com, that's where you can find all of the DevNet content that we have for you. So DevNet is the developer program from Cisco. Right? If you want to work with APIs, RESTconf, NetConf, you want to see any of the SDKs that we have for several products. If you want to look at learning labs to get started with this, sandboxes, if you don't have environments, right? We have free sandboxes available for you. We have Code Exchange where you can find sample code that you can use with SDKs, like I said, Ansible, Terraform, all these other infrastructure as code, automation tools, configuration management tools. So lots and lots of resources available over there for you for free, right? And like I said, any questions also that you have for us, you can provide us feedback. You can tell us if something's not working as you would expect with our APIs or with our automation products. Let us know. We bring it back to the business unit. We bring it back to the folks developing those tools, and we get it fixed. We get the request for a new feature, for example, on the roadmap for you,
Mhm.
right? So everything community developer relations, everything related to that. We are the team that manages that at Cisco. So I'm super excited to be here to see, what questions you have, what folks might have, and how we can help them and point them in the right direction.
All right, great. So let's say I'm a Cisco customer and I'm using a bunch of your solutions. And maybe 5, 10 years ago, I used to click on your UI or to get something done in a more manual kind of way. But I can imagine as things evolve and I have bigger scale, I
Hmm.
probably wonder how I can automate a lot of those operations. Now, if I am using those Cisco products, sounds like Cisco has been building a lot of interfaces for me to be able to automate those solutions in my preferred technology. Can you share more about what you're seeing from your perspective, working with Cisco customers, how they manage hardware of Cisco solutions of Cisco today compared to 5 or 10 years ago? And it sounds like you have 10 years of perspective. So, what has changed from your point of view of how the engineers are using your products throughout the last decade?
Oh, definitely. I mean, we've seen major, major changes, and you've hit the nail on the head when you mentioned scale, right? Because infrastructure, even with cloud and everything, hybrid environments has only grown in size, and human resources can grow exponentially as our environments do. So it's usually doing more with less, right? Less people or just like more infrastructure that you need to manage. So definitely we've seen a transition from, old school CLI folks when you used to go. I mean, even I 10 years ago, um when I passed my CCIE also back in those days, right, the exam from Cisco, it was all, just like CLI, you connect to these devices, you troubleshoot them over an SSH connection, right? One device, one at a time, see what happens. But I mean, those days are there's it's still there, but the industry as a whole has definitely moved to a more automated point of view and an automated way of managing and configuring this infrastructure. And a critical component of that has been the fact that Cisco now has APIs. Like you said, it's just another interface, right? You have CLIs that you can still connect to these devices, but there is also now an API that comes with pretty much everything that Cisco has as a product or a platform. So those APIs are critically important because they're application programming interface. APIs have been used by software developers for since the beginning of time, right? But now in the past 10 years, definitely we've seen an uptick in API availability from Cisco.
Yep.
And not only that, but with the APIs, they give you the option of, programmatically interacting with your device, with your infrastructure. So you can have software developed for automation, for programmatically interacting with it. But also, besides the API, we've seen an uptick and a huge growth in SDKs, right? So it's like, of course, you can work with the API directly, but there's a lot of heavy lifting that you have to do,
Yep.
right? Authentication, then every single API endpoint, you have to see, okay, what type of payload do I need to pass in, right? You need to make sure that the tokens are passed around, right? That they're still valid. There's a lot of work that you have to do, an extra work that you have to do as you work with APIs directly. But once you start using an SDK, it kind of abstracts a lot of
Yeah, and it's more
the
natural.
manual. Yeah, as a developer, it comes much more natural. You have functions that are being mapped to API endpoints, right? So you don't need to remember that slash version one slash whatever it is, all
Yep.
the actual API endpoint.
Yep.
You have a function within a programming language. The payload is already taken care of it for you, right? The authentication, tokens, and all of that. So SDKs have come up and came out for a lot of products, which I was very happy to see, right? So then of Ansible collections, as folks started adopting Ansible, and now lately Terraform.
Yep.
Terraform is the new kid on the block, and everybody's talking about it these days. So
Mhm.
we do have Terraform providers for a lot of our products
Yep.
and platforms. So we kind of watch where the industry is going, what people are using, what tools are coming out there, and we're adapting. We're trying to accommodate everyone, or as many tools and requests that we can.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, about a couple of months ago, you announced a lot of support, not just for Terraform, but also the quite compatible Open Tofu. So that was great to see expansion. Although it's pretty much the same, but to see an official message coming out of Cisco that it already supports not just Terraform but officially OpenTofu and going to continue to support that is also great for the open source community. So when I start start to use such solutions of a company like Cisco, I probably notice sometimes the process of implementing more APIs and more SDKs, and as you mentioned, Ansible and Terraform providers. But it's work in progress, and I can imagine that every once in a while I'm going to see, okay, I have some capabilities in the product itself that are still not implemented uh, at all, or the way I prefer, or with this use case um, that I specifically need. So, what is the process? Let's say I'm a customer of Cisco, for me to influence the uh, the work on those different interfaces. Let's call them different interfaces for me to use the solution? Is it like another open source project that I just open an issue and depending on the upvotes, it's going to be prioritized? Or I can imagine that I can also approach my account manager and try to influence with that. He might be a big customer. Like, what are my various options to get the interfaces that I need in a prioritized way?
That's a great question. And you mentioned already a couple of ways, right? So,
Sure.
account manager, I would say, right, if you have an account manager dedicated, if you're a larger customer, then definitely tell them, hey, we would like this, or this is what we plan to do. And they'll take it to the BU and, right, they'll talk about that. That's for, larger customers that have a dedicated person from Cisco for their uh, environment specifically. But then for folks that don't have that, right, like you said, yes, check on GitHub, whatever that repo is located for an Ansible collection or the Terraform provider. You can find all of them pretty much on GitHub. They're hosted on public GitHub, right? And then yes, you can raise issues if there's any bugs. You can do depending on. I'm not gonna say that all of them support this, but you have to read the README for them and see which ones take pull requests, because I know some of them do take pull requests, so you can contribute back, right? If you want to help developing a feature or you want to help fix a bug. I know teams within Cisco that are open to that and they do take pull requests.
Mhm.
So please look into that also. Then there's the feedback that you can give on DevNet. I mentioned it briefly before, right? So on developer.cisco.com, as you browse the website, you find whatever you find yourself on the website, you can provide us feedback at the bottom of the page. There's a feedback button that you can tell us, hey, this is not working, or I'd like to see this, or there's this feature in the API that I would like to have it available. It's not there today. Or it is in the GUI, in the market dashboard, for example. There's something that, it works one way in the dashboard and maybe it's missing from the API or is not working as expected. Let us know in the feedback on developer.cisco.com also. So I would
Yeah.
say those would be the three main ways that you can interact with us that come to mind. We also have, by the way, I mentioned this, I forgot this to mention, but uh, WebEx Teams
Mm.
space, right? So if you folks are on WebEx, you can find a WebEx space specifically dedicated for support questions for
Mhm.
DevNet,
Mhm.
right? So we do have there thousands of people that have already joined, right? So it's a community type of environment where folks ask questions, right? And other people respond. That's a way of just like interacting directly with somebody through a chat interface. And then, of course, we also have the forum on communities.cisco.com, right? So communities.cisco.com is a forum based community where you can go ask questions. And then folks, same thing, they answer, they look at it. Um, Us within DevNet, we keep an eye on those questions as they come in, and we do have a DevNet specifically section in there for developer related questions.
Got it.
So there's actually more ways. Right? There's like I mentioned five so
Yeah.
far.
Yep. Different ways
Uh,
to
yeah.
influence. That's else. Let me ask you as part of Cisco a different question, because a lot of our audience in this podcast manage infrastructure of their companies and in charge both to automate and govern and also monitor their production environments. Now, obviously, Cisco made a big move in that space when it decided to acquire this small company named Splunk. Besides the value that Splunk provides to its customers, how do you think it might affect the overall processes or approach within Cisco? uh, more focus on infrastructure and observability and developers. What is the strategic move here from your perspective with this acquisition?
Uh, that's another good question. So yeah, like you said, right, is the observability piece first and foremost, but then is the AI capabilities that Splunk brings, right? Because building these pretty much data lakes with a lot of information as our customers load up their logs, their metrics into Splunk, then patterns emerge from those, from all of that data that's being gathered. So Splunk has built quite a very useful AI capability within their platform, right? And they're actively developing it. So that was besides just observability and monitoring, there's also, I think, one of the main reasons that Splunk was acquired is because they have access to a lot of data,
Yep.
right? And access to a lot of data, as we know, as we've seen with, OpenAI, Gen AI tools, Chat GPTs, all of that, you need to have large amounts of data that you can run your AI models on so that you can, infer and make suggestions and see trends, right? And build new AI models on top of that, all of that data. So um, I think there was, kind of like a forward-looking acquisition in that sense. Is that also Cisco is like everyone else in the industry these days is trying to get into AI, what we can do with AI, how it can help us to better do our jobs, how can we build these AI agents to help us monitoring, configuring, right? And what can we do on that side?
Yeah, definitely, and I see that as well from our perspective in N of Zero. So customers deploy either applications or infrastructure to the cloud. Sometimes it works well. Sometimes it creates some issues. So
Mm.
the fact that you deploy things, then maybe revert or update, or you have errors. So what do you do with all of that knowledge of so many deployments and logs? Um, and in today's world with AI and models, you can start realize what's going on in the patterns and to start helping your teams with proactive measures, because maybe what you're about to do is gonna cause these kind of issues, because we're already seen that million times with other deployments as customers. So let's start using this data. Um, by the way, I think in two ways. A, general data, what's happening with all customers around the world that are using specific technologies. And B, what's going on in your organization with your customization, because there might be any um, specific definitions or concepts or best practices or approaches that your organization is implementing that are going to make the generic data less relevant for you. But if you train on your specific data, that's going to help you in an ideal way and to help your own organization. So I think the Splunk acquisition is a big move in in that direction, and I'm eager to see what Cisco and Splunk will do with this huge potential of data of production environments.
Exactly. You got it. I mean, we're on the same page here. I totally agree, right? And I'm also excited to see because um I'm having, I'm looking at AI, right? Everybody's talking about it. And I see within Cisco what folks are doing also and within the community. And it is very interesting, right? Because like you said, you're able to kind of look at all this data or with specifically with large language models. um, it's nice that you can interact now with your infrastructure and you can ask an agent, right? Instead of going connecting SSH and you just ask the agent, hey, what's the status on that device of my OSPF neighbors or of my routing table or whatever you want, right? So it's very interesting from that perspective what's going on. But like you said, right, from just metrics, seeing things that have gone bad in the past and having a model that kind of taps you on the shoulder. Hey, you sure you want to do this? Because we've seen, issues happening in the past, or we've seen uh, following these steps that you're about to do, you know, uh, they have created problems in the past. Or maybe we get to a point where the AI does the changes, you know, by itself. So just self-healing networks. We were talking about this, for a long time. Self-healing infrastructure. So getting closer day by day to that dream of things fixing magically by themselves.
Yeah, AI agents to auto remediate your infrastructure. That's
Yeah.
what I keep on hearing the last few months, definitely.
Yeah.
Uh, cool. So sounds like a lot is going on with Cisco and its huge developer community. Sounds like developers working with Cisco have many interfaces to interact with the team to influence how to automate. And as you mentioned, at scale, maybe it's okay to do manual operations when you don't have scale, but once you start having scale, you probably looking at ways to automate that. And infrastructure as code. And you mentioned Terraform and OpenTofu, so it's great to see the different ways to automate your infrastructure, including within Cisco. So thank you so much, Adrian, for sharing your thoughts and your knowledge about the ecosystem and more specifically within the Cisco ecosystem. And I hope everybody enjoyed the show today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ohad. Thanks everyone. As I said, right, feel free and please do reach out to us. And at any stage of your journey, right, in the automation journey that you're just getting started, or you've already worked for years with these tools, or you've developed your own code, let us know. We're always there to make our tools better, our APIs better. So if you see any issues, please reach out. There's many ways that you can get in touch with us, specifically with me. If you want, I cover Catalyst Center, iOS XC, by the way, um, Catalyst SD-WAN, and Meraki. So any questions about SDKs for these products, um, or Ansible collection or the Terraform provider that we have for all of them, please reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on X, Twitter, right? Search my name. I'm there. Um, or through the feedback on our developer.cisco.com website. Like I said, we get a message every time somebody submits something. Automatically, we have a bot in WebEx that pops up that feedback and we can see it. So thank you so much, Ohad, for having me. Looking forward to maybe coming back. Good luck, everyone. Happy holidays and take care, folks.
Thank you so much, Adrian. It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.